sustainable? Where are we heading as a country? Joining us live in the studios, Archbishop Jackson Olisapit is in the house. Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome also joining us, and Reverend Father Joseph Mutie. Gentlemen, thank you and welcome to JKLIVE Live.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time at this time in this country's history. We need a lot of sanity, and hopefully you can provide that tonight. But let me ask you this, starting with you, Reverend Father Mutie. You've reached out to the two principles, let's call them, right? Yes. Your pleas, your help, your prayers seem to have fallen on deaf ears. What's going on?
Thank you, Jevan. Thank you for hosting us this evening. Yes, we have reached a number of times through different statements and through different initiatives to the two principles. And we have not lost hope. We believe this is the moment that they should show leadership. Because what we are going through, what Kenyans are going through, this is the most difficult times, political times in this land. So this is the moment to show leadership. And we expect them, in as much as we respect them, we expect them to show leadership at this moment.
Yeah, Sheikh Lethome.
Of course, Jeff, it is a very sad moment in this country. On Monday, as I was watching the television and the unfolding scenario, for a moment I thought I was not in Kenya. I thought I was watching scenes from another country. This should not be happening to our country, Jeff. It should not, and it should stop. We don't have any other country to go to. This country sinks, all of us sink. And we cannot allow politicians to take this country into this direction. No, no, no.
Archbishop Olisapit, your pleas again, they seem to be falling on deaf ears. And the other thing is, you're reaching out to the two principles through the media. Have you tried to reach them personally?
Let me not say I have tried to reach them personally one-on-one, but we have tried to see whether they can come to an understanding that Kenya is bigger than them. And what we are seeing today is that two wrongs can never make a right. And when people are in competition and they are competing to do everything wrong, you can never reach a point where you can get things right. Yeah. And what we are seeing today is that our political leaders in the board divide, Azimio and the ruling coalition, now beginning to compete to do every wrong thing to the Kenyan people, which is not acceptable. It's not going to give us an opportunity to thrive as a country. Chest thumping and trying to be a hero by saying I cannot blink and I cannot entertain discussion and a dialogue will not and ever make you a hero. A hero for this country will be one who will say Kenya is bigger than me, and the opportunity I have as a leader is to bring peace, prosperity to the Kenyan people. But when we hold hardline positions at the expense of the Kenyan people who have elected us, who have made us leaders, and we are trampling on them so that I am seen to be the tough guy, that will never give us solution. And we can never have a solution when two people oppose each other and nobody reasons and say we can sit. No. So I think what we need is our leaders to stoop down from their high vintage positions and see Kenya beyond themselves and come to a point to reason, to see Kenya beyond them and the citizens of this country beyond them. Yeah. That's the time we can be able to reason. But when we are saying we am the hero, you cannot, you cannot overturn me, you cannot do this to me, that will not help us. In Maasai, where I come from, we have this saying, if two bulls fight and one decides, to take off and get out of the fight, and the chasing bull does not stop chasing and chase it to the forest, it is said, if the bull does not back off and do what it is supposed to do now as a leader in the herd, if you continue chasing, when that bull turns, you're in trouble. So I think what we are seeing here is the government should have known we are now in charge. We are the leaders. We have the highest responsibility to look after this nation and make sure that we have the economy to grow and not chase over whoever has lost. And I think if we come from that premise, and also turning to the opposition side, we need to give Kenyans a break that if we're in competition and we lose, we wait for the opportune time. But, you know, the way we don't conclude anything in Kenya, that we finish and then we begin again, then we will be going in circles and in circles time and again, and it will not give us a solution.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, it seems like you're not the only ones who are trying to reach out to the two principles. Listen to this story earlier on today. Azimio leadership, led by Honorable Raila Odinga, this evening held talks with a U.S. delegation led by Senator Chris Coons and exchanged views on political developments in the country. Now, according to a statement from Azimio, the two sides agreed on the need to respect the Constitution and the rule of law in all activities. They also agreed to keep open the channels of communication. Now, Coons is credited with brokering the handshake deal between former President Uhuru Kenyatta and ODM leader Raila Odinga back in 2017. Make that 2018, after the 2017 presidential election debacle. Now, the U.S. Senator arrived in the country as Azimio prepares to hold yet another mass action protest amid rising tensions in the country. The pictures there. So, Reverend Father, what would you like to hear from the president at this point? What would you like to hear?
Well, this is a defining moment for the leadership, and we sit here to reason together. At this point, we would wish to see the leader of this country embracing everyone, calling or opening his hands and embracing even those that are on the other side. Because, you know, this journey already has started. He's already in leadership. We are almost getting to the end of the first year. Remaining 4 years. What are we expecting to see in the 4 years? Even the first year, we don't see any services delivered to the citizens. So we are calling upon him to give us the leadership that Kenyans deserve. Yeah. Politics, the last time I checked in the dictionary, is a process of decision making in a group. So it is not an individual thing. When we went to elections last year, we gave our rights to the leaders whom we elected, for them to lead us. Now they are confusing us. We don't want confusion. We have many things to worry about in this land. The economy of this land, the social dynamics of this land. Even in our spiritual grounds, we have so much in our churches that we need to handle. The culture, our practices, our way of life has been distorted by these, positions that are being held by the leadership. So we are praying and we are hoping that they will listen to us, and this is the time we would wish that they changed their way of thinking and reason, not emotively, but take a moment and reflect on where we have come from and where is it? Where are we? Where is the leadership taking this country? Mm-hmm. There is this opportunity to lead. If you mess with it, justice will tell at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Sheikh Lethome, let me ask you this. The tone and the rhetoric, especially from the lieutenants of these principles, everyone from Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua to Babu Owino on the other side, the tone is very inflammatory, or can be mistaken for that.
Jeff, to say the least, the tone is unacceptable. We say in Kiswahili, ulimi hauna mfupa, lakini unavunja mifupa na unaua watu. What comes from the mouth is very important. Because there are many, and especially when it comes from a leader. Because, Jeff, when a leader speaks, it doesn't matter the occasion, from wherever they speak. You don't know how that will be interpreted by the people who listen to you. So it means, whereas everybody has to be careful about what they say, the bar is higher for the leaders. It's even higher for the president of this country. And those who picked the Constitution, they held the book that they believe in. Before man and God, they vowed to protect the Constitution of this country, to protect the lives and the property of the people of this country. The bar is very high. So they have to be responsible. And for me, if you ask me, Jeff, and looking at our Constitution, maybe it's the high time now we invoke the provisions of Chapter 6 of the Constitution, leadership and integrity. Because when a leader stands there in broad daylight, and sometimes in a place of worship, and the words, you can tell clearly, these words are going to provoke people one direction or the other. Another leader somewhere, you'd think that we are still campaigning. And he says now, instead of 2 days, actually it will be every day of the week. And people are cheering. Is it the kind of leaders that we want in this country? The answer is no. And Jeff, when we talk about the principles, I think we need to accept one reality. We have the president of the country. He is responsible, and the bar is higher for him because he has sworn to take care of this country. On behalf of the 50 million plus Kenyans, we are looking up at him. God forbid, if anything goes wrong in this country, he will go down in history as the person under whose watch the country went to the dogs. God forbid. So the bar is higher for him. And if I was the president of this country today, Jeff, I would be a very worried person watching what is happening in the country. He has the responsibility. The resources of this country, we've handed them to him to run the country on our behalf. The bar is higher for him. That does not mean that the opposition leadership has no responsibility. They are also responsible. So for me, the grandstanding should stop. Utterances that can only inflame the followers should stop. They should actually, they should be ashamed of those kind of utterances. They should be careful about what they say. So, Jeff, you called us here so that we can talk about reasoning. If we don't reason, just come to think about it. Where are we heading to as a country? If we allow this to continue the free roll, where are we heading to? This has to stop. And again, Jeff, I don't know why sometimes, for a moment, you might think that the only stakeholders in this country are the politicians. Yet, all of us belong to this country. We have a stake in this country. And we have a say in this country. We have a responsibility to protect this country. And that's why we are saying this country belongs to all of us. And we have a duty to protect this country for ourselves and future generations. Fear God, the God that you saw before that you're going to protect this country. And calm down and stop thinking about yourselves and the positions. Think about this country and the future and the legacy and what history will remember you for in this country. Yeah.
Now, Archbishop, the attack on the Northland Farm the other night, I mean, it was unprecedented. You know, goons or mobs, whatever you want to call them, attacking a former president's private property, family's private property. What does that say about us? What have we become?
Jeff, I think this was a very unfortunate situation that has been in this country. And it is an attack on the sanctity of personal property, where people hold a title and a right to own property anywhere in this country. An attack on any property, let me say any property, be it Northland or any property or a kiosk, is unacceptable. But what we saw on Monday is a very unfortunate situation for this country. people getting into a farm, cutting down trees, getting livestock and selling in broad daylight at throwaway prices. I was very appalled to see Kenyans stop their cars and buy those livestock. This is recipe for anarchy. And let me say this to Kenyans. If we allow this to happen, today is Northland. Tomorrow it will be another person's home. The next day will be another person's home. It will not stop with the Kenyatta family. It will come to my family in Narok. It will come to any person family in Rift Valley. It will go to Luo Nyanza. It will go to the West Coast. It will go everywhere. If you allow people in Coons, and the shocking thing is we have police in this country and they did not show up. And the question is, where were they? How can that happen the whole day long? And this begin to, bring memories of the last build-up to the last election, where we began a narrative of hustlers versus dynasties. If that narrative is repeated and allowed to continue, that people will attack those who have, thinking they stole from them, this country, we will lose it in a day. It will not be that family, it will be every other family in Kenya. So I want to urge the law enforcers in this country that we have a constitution to protect, we have law and order to maintain, and the citizens of this country to obey that which builds us as a country, that we have laws to govern us, to lead us, and everybody has a right to own whatever God has given them to own. If we begin that path, and it's unfortunate because, some leaders were seen on television saying prior to that it will happen, and it happened. So we must call out that this is evil, this is unacceptable in this country. If it is allowed to continue, we have no Kenya.
Yeah. Sheikh Lethome, I saw you shaking your head for a moment there, and the scenes in Northlands reminded me of Zimbabwe, a couple of Zimbabwe in the year 2000. Remember the farm invasion?
Yes.
Same scenario.
Actually, yes.
Sickening.
Very sickening. And then the police come in, which was captured very well by the media.
Police came in
24 hours later. The question is, why? What were they doing? And then the explanation from one of the CSs yesterday, I think that is taking Kenyans for people who cannot reason. He says because the police were busy controlling the protest, so there was no police to take care of that. That is not acceptable. Because there was a CS yesterday who was trying to explain to Kenyans the reason why we had no police officers. This is wrong. This should not be allowed. And then for Kenyans, Jeff, you stop your car in broad daylight to buy stolen goods. And I really want to call upon the police commissioner, because the inspector general, because we can tell. Even the number plates of the cars, they're there. I can tell you over RAV4 KBK028G. A black RAV4. Somebody stopping there to buy stolen goods. Shame on them. Shame on us as Kenyans. How can we do that? You can see clearly that this is stolen property. And then I was shocked at night when we saw in the media that people had actually apportioned themselves parts of the land, marked them using the pipes for irrigation, and even started building up shacks. What is this? And the question is, don't we have law? If somebody somewhere believes that this land or any other land was not acquired legally, we have the judiciary. Let the law take its course. But now when we allow people, I'm worried about my small home in Kajiado now. Tomorrow, somebody might instigate people that go and apportion yourself, invade it, and the police will just watch. So this is wrong. It should not happen. We have enough security to take care of us. It is a constitutional duty of the government of the day to ensure life and property of Kenyans is secure. Yeah. There are no two ways about it.
Absolutely. And Reverend Father, it seemed like some cabinet secretaries were celebrating what happened at Northlands.
Well, it's a shame. That shows how we have lost our values. A community that has no values. We are like we are losing our own selves. I visited Kibra yesterday.
Yes.
And I went to the church and the mosque, and he was with me. And I tell you, the massive loss that we saw. What had the church done? I saw even the property of the neighborhood, the Mama Boga kiosks. Mm. Who stands for these people? When all this is done, then who goes home happy? It's not a moment to celebrate. It's a moment to agonize with the situation that we find ourselves. We have no religious divisions in this country. Yes. Mm. We are united as a community of faith, and will still remain united. And so therefore, burning a church tells you that we are morally down. That is the last thing somebody would think of. And so therefore, we are saying, even if somebody pushed our young people to do this, it is wrong. It was uncalled for. We are going to spend so much in coming back to realizing our lives, especially for those that went through such torment. I went there yesterday. Those that were in the church were in tears. Mm-hmm. Some were even painting. The pastor, the minister of the church was also very worried. The trauma that was caused, it will live with that community for a length of time. But I thank the people of Kibera. When we talked to them, when we came together and said, no, as religious leaders, we are saying we are united. And we pray for this country. We pray for the people of Kibera. These are good people. It's only that they have not gotten an opportunity. There is lack of jobs. And so therefore, what do you expect them to do? They are innocent. Why use them? They are innocent. Why cause them? Why cause them to fight each other? Bitterness will never sort anything. Hatred will never sort anything. All this violence will cause us to divide as a community. It's a moment we came together and said, we are Kenyans, whether you are rich or poor. Respect me, respect what I do, respect my property, and let justice cut across, whether the rich or the poor, let there be justice, just as we sing in our national anthem. Justice be our shield and defender.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, I want to take a quick break, come back, and talk about, tomorrow is another day of protest, apparently, allegedly. I mean, with all the destruction that has happened so far, businesses are losing millions every week. I mean, 2 times a week, is that sustainable? Come on. Let's talk about that. We've got Reverend Father Joseph Mutia, we've got Sheikh Ibrahim Lethome, and we've got Archbishop Jackson Olisapit. Men of reason, men who are talking to us like it should be, without fear or favor. Are we listening out there?